Take your position. The show is about to start.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to On Screen, where we discuss all things cinema all the time. Here's your hosts.
the award goes to
Joe Brunett, Joe Cuffney, and Jesse Reichenstein. Lights, camera, action.
I mean, I know you put the sound in after, but it wasn't even there. It
Did
wasn't
you even hear it at all?
barely. No.
Maybe this mic is just too good. It only picks up voices. Okay, so today we're talking about Last Night in Soho, the Edgar Wright movie. I've been wanting to see this for a while. I think when I saw the trailer, it got my attention for sure because it was like a thriller, horror-ish crime movie. And Edgar Wright, love Edgar Wright, and I know at least Joe, you like him because Hot Fuzz, obviously.
Yep.
I just love Edgar. I think he's such a unique director, and he gives me like James Wan vibes, like his filmmaking style. So I think that's why I like it. Like he's really creative with how he's his sound design, music, and cinematography and editing.
That's like the highest compliment coming from you. Like people should know.
I know.
That. It's like he's like James Wan is like.
He's like the non-horror James Wan to me, and I love it. I think it's awesome.
But still horror-esque.
Or at least this one is. Yeah.
That's true.
But and I love Anya Taylor-Joy. I think she's one of the best working actors today, I think. And I was like, give this one a shot. So and I love the 1960s vibe. I'm a big fan of that. So like kind of combining all of that was just like, I'm gonna say what you said last week or 2 weeks ago. The filmmaker's wet dream.
Critic's wet dream.
Phil Cruz, yeah. So I was like, this is a perfect recipe for me. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys think about it.
I loved this movie actually. I feel like I came in, I didn't see a trailer, I didn't know anything, and I just watched it. And I was like, it was one of those ones that's like it actually like pulls you in. Like I was actually like invested in the story. The music was phenomenal. I loved the music. Cinematography was all great. I did guess the ending, which kind of makes me sad. But there were like so many parts in that like were surprising to me. Like I did know the old lady was going to be a part of it somehow, but spoilers. But I still think there was enough like surprising bits about it that like I very much like enjoyed and was like actively invested in the story when I was watching it, which that is like what I would consider a high compliment, because not all films, it's hard to hold your attention these days. And this one definitely did. So I definitely enjoyed it.
It's funny that you say that because like I think one of the reasons why I love Edgar Wright is because he's so quick with everything. Like all of his cuts, all of his scenes, there's nothing dragged out in his movies. Like he might be lingering in a scene for a couple minutes, but it's there's not like a 10-minute scene. It's like everything is so quick, and I love that because I don't know. I also love the other side.
I love that for two reasons. One, it keeps the story moving.
Right.
And two, it really makes you feel like if you blink, you might miss something.
Yes.
And
that's really good. Yeah.
I think it like helps you have that feeling of I need to like really be like dialed in watching this movie. You know what I mean?
That's so funny that you say that because, a lot of times when I'm watching a movie, because my desk is like right here. So I'll watch a movie and then I'll go in the kitchen and make tea or something, or, food or something, and I'll still have it playing, listening to it. But this movie, I felt myself pausing it every single time I left to the kitchen because I was like, I can't miss anything.
Right.
So that's so funny. I felt the same way.
Yeah, I watched this and I was thinking, oh man, they're gonna love this. Like both of them for different, like, and it's like Edgar Wright, but it's also got that like, because it's like 60s, that like Night at the El Royale, like old vibe kind of deal with it. I just thought it was pretty like long, drawn out, slow film.
I would love if you actually felt that way. I'd be like,
I like movies like this, I'll just watch on my computer. Like I watched this one actually on my computer rather than on my monitor, rather than like the TV. But like you were saying, I actually, even though I wasn't super invested in it, I still paused every time I would not be sitting watching. I still would, a lot of times I would be like, okay if I miss a few minutes.
Right,
Like I'll
right.
just, because I'm like trying to get through it too. And this one, every time it's still, even though I wasn't like super into it, I was like, pause,
Yeah.
you know. So, you know, I'll definitely give it that. It's I didn't know how, like, I remembered when everyone was going on the press tour for it, like on late night. And so I knew about it, but I never really knew how much it was like a thriller versus horror, you know, like in that realm. I forget, Anya Taylor-Joy described it as like a something on an acid trip. Like, I forget what it was. She was like, I said it's something on an acid trip, and I still stand to it. And so it's one of those movies, I think it was really done extremely well. Like, if you're into, if this is anywhere in the realm of movies you're interested in, it's phenomenal.
If you like Edgar Wright, you'll probably like this movie.
Yeah, and just any, I mean, it does get gruesome.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of horror. It's not.
I didn't even think it was that bad, actually.
I mean, I didn't know it was a horror film until I started, so it was like pretty gruesome.
Well, see, I don't even know if I would call this a horror movie. Like, it's more of like a thriller, if you ask me.
Dude, it's genre blending, man. I don't even know either. I think I would consider it horror. Like, I think thriller first and then horror, but
thriller horror, yeah.
I don't know. I think he.
But if someone just told me a thriller, I'm not expecting to watch people like get stabbed and bleed out. And
right. I think the difference between like horror, I think like the gore factor makes it the horror. Like, I think if there was no like blood or anything, I think it would be more of a thriller. Like, for example, this is a good way to describe it. Like Hitchcock, all of his movies are basically thriller films. You know, like Psycho's horror, but you really don't see a lot of blood or gore in his movies. And then you cut to a different film where there's a lot of gore, like Halloween. That's a horror movie because there's a lot of blood. I don't know. It's interesting. I think for me, like the blood aspect makes it horror.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree. So what I mean is there's a lot more blood than I thought there was going to be.
Okay.
But it still was like, while I was watching too, I will say this was for me in stealing words from Joe Cuffney's mouth, but it was a, wait, what? Movie. You know, like every time something happened, it'd be like, wait, what? Which is, again, cool if you have to sit down and like actually somewhat be watching this, because it's like,
you can't just throw it on.
It definitely is a trip, and you're like trying to piece it together, and some things like you just have to piece it together how you want to keep going, you know. It's but like super well done, very, very well done.
I feel you there on like I actually really did like this movie too. There were some things that I thought were a little questionable, and like I think they sometimes got a little mixed of like what genre they were trying to play with. Like, I think that might have hindered it a little bit, because it was like they went for horror, thriller, but also kind of this drama. I was like a little confused on that, but I got really like Suspiria vibes. I don't know if you guys have seen Suspiria from the 70s. It's like really solid like witch film. It's like a coven, about a coven. This girl basically is going to a ballet school in Germany, and basically the instructors are witches. It's like a coven, and like this, like how I think I have a feeling he was inspired by Suspiria from this movie. I would love to like listen to an interview or something, because like the lighting and, you know, how it was shot and everything, I just got Suspiria vibes, which was really cool. So but yeah, I thought this was fun. I don't know how I feel with the main actress, to be honest.
All right.
Not Anya Taylor-Joy,
the other girl,
character.
Thomas. Her name's Thomason something. But yeah, I don't know. She was fine. I don't know.
I liked her, actually. I thought I was gonna say she was really good. I mean, Anya Taylor-Joy is really good.
Yeah,
and she's also like, she so quickly became.
She's the it girl.
Yeah, and became that level where like when you see her, you see Anya Taylor-Joy. You know, like so quickly became an actress like that. She's also, I appreciate, because like if you've seen her when she was on James Corden, when she described this movie too, but she seems like kind of a real weirdo. And I say that in like, that is like a high compliment for me. Like, I love when actors and any artist, I'm like, oh, they're kind of a weirdo. It makes me like them a lot more. But what I was gonna say is, the one thing I didn't like, which I think is just a pet peeve with plots, I hate when there's like any school setting and there's like the bully. I just don't like those lines ever
Oh, yeah.
in movies. Like, even though for whatever reason, like I hated that girl who's like her roommate who like
Jocasta.
obviously just like just like made fun of her and stuff. And like it doesn't even matter what I don't care if it's a comedy, if it's a thriller, it's a horror. For whatever reason, I'm like, I just don't enjoy those storylines.
I feel yeah. I think that, and what's weird to me is like in college, it's a college, right?
Yeah, London
There's no
College of
bullies
Fashion.
like that in college. Like it's not high school. Like that shit doesn't exist. I think of like this reminds me of Spider-Man 2 when in the classroom when they're like throwing stuff at Peter. I'm like, that doesn't happen in college. Like, that is high school stuff. Like I do agree with that though. And I also thought like that kind of unfolded weird to me, like their rivalry because like they were friends at first, quote unquote. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I was missing that middle piece where like, why was she mean to her? There's no reason to be mean to her, you know, like she didn't do anything.
Yeah, I get like, yeah, if it was just the beginning part and explained of like why she moved out, you know, I'm like, that would make
Right.
sense. But for it to like be an ongoing
It
thing,
doesn't
it just was weird. I don't know.
I also like I liked the guy John, her like classmate John. I really liked him.
The nice one. Who's
Yeah,
nice?
I liked him as an actor, but I didn't like really like his character. I think his character was like they needed to throw like a quote unquote love interest in there, and they just kind of threw him in there.
He
It
never
felt
was like
forced to me.
developed, really.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
he was the only character that I thought like didn't make 100% sense.
No,
Like
not at all.
because she was like absolutely crazy, and he just was just like, "You want to talk?"
Right, right.
Like I mean, I think the point is this: John was a very nice guy, but I just that was the part I had a hard time being like, yeah, that makes sense.
They didn't need that in there at all. Like that wasn't necessary.
And it
But
was
like he was the one who got like stabbed in the end.
But
I was
mean-
gonna say, but and it was such like a sad ending because he was never really like developed. So like you just liked him because he was a nice guy, but
Right.
it's not like he ever developed. Like I thought, you know, when he comes in to like her work to like get a drink, but it's the time where he's like, I get being on the outside if you ever want to talk. I was like, oh, okay, this is really gonna develop into it. But he just kind of stayed that like nice guy on the side. And then like you said at the end, it's like, yeah, I'm here to see Ellie. Yeah, come on in. And then just like stabs him. And you're like, wait, what? Wait,
Yeah.
he was just in this to get here?
it is, yeah, it was very, yeah. Yeah, he was a weird character to me. Like, I want to see him in more. I like him as an actor, but I mean, I liked him, but I think he did a good job. But it was just, yeah, I don't know. And then I didn't realize Terrence Stamp was in this movie, which was
Who's
he's the old guy.
hmm.
So he was the guy you would probably know him from Haunted Mansion. He was the butler,
Yep.
but his voice sounded different in this one because he usually has such a distinct voice. But I don't know. He just always
like
pops
he's-
up in movies. Like he's
I
always
was gonna say he's always like that same. I see him and I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like he's been everything. But then I look up his movies and I'm like, why aren't there more? I feel like there should just be tons of like, oh right, all these movies.
I think of Yes Man too. He's like the leader, the cult leader. Yes, the Yes
Uh,
convention guy. This is a little. This actually brings me to one. I have trivia fact. What?
He's in Bowfinger.
Oh yeah, he is in Bowfinger. He's the guy, the mind head guy. Mind head.
Very true. When you said cult thing, I was like, yeah.
He's typecasted. It's funny though because one of this trivia fact I read is Diana Rigg, who plays the landlady. I don't know her name. The main girl, the older woman at the end, essentially. Terrence Stamp, Rita Tushingham, and Margot Nolan were all big names in British TV and theater in the 1960s. So I think I actually got that vibe. Like the older people, I was like, they're definitely like movie stars from like the 60s. I feel like I just got that vibe, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, and the whole James Bond aspect was really cool. Because actually Diana Rigg played a Bond girl in Your Majesty's Secret Service, which is kind of a fun little connection there.
Interesting. Fun fact.
Fun fact, yeah. And Edgar Wright's always wanted to do a Bond movie, which is why I think he did that. So I thought that was kind of fun.
I forget that it's too like a British film. So as soon as it started,
Right.
you know, and it's all British, and I'm like, with the accents, I was like, this is lovely. This is great.
It is nice. It's a nice change of pace.
It is.
It is cool because like I feel like you can like tell like that, like I don't know, Edgar Wright's got just such a specific style, but like you can just tell like UK movies and like just British movies in general, it's like versus American movies versus like, you know, like Thai movies. Like everything's so different. They have their own kind of formula, which I think is great. So that's why I kind of like
Yeah, and I always just forget, like, even though when I see press and stuff, like like everyone's British is like in it, but I'm just so used to like even British people, like because of HBO, do American accent. Like it's always like an American, even if it's like an entirely British cast, the
Right.
movie is like, like an American accent. And so like it was just like a weird shock of like as soon as it started, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be the whole movie.
Right. And it's funny, like, I mean, I get if there's like a film or show like based somewhere like specific, like LA or something, but why don't they just do their accent in the, movie or show? Like, why be American? Like, why,
Because we're the best. We don't want to listen to funny accents, and
we don't want them to overshadow us.
Also, I will say this is one of the first times I feel like for me really seeing Matt Smith.
Oh yeah. He's been in a lot.
Because I'm like
recently.
curious. Yeah, and I'm trying to. I was like, have I actually seen some other stuff? Because I know he's huge, but I know he really came up as like Doctor Who. I think like when I heard Matt Smith all over the places because he was one of the people who played Doctor Who. And he's really great.
Yeah, he was good in this.
Yeah, I'd like to see him more. But it's one of those funny ones where I'm like, I know who you are so well, know your name, but I'm watching it being like, I think this is like the first time I've really seen you act.
I saw him recently in he played Charlie Manson in a movie called Charlie Says. So I saw him in that one. He was good in that too. I thought he was really good. He was also in he's in the new Morbius movie that's coming out soon, like the new Spider-Man villain spinoff movie. But I actually really liked him and Anya. I think they were perfectly casted because they looked like the old movie stars, She's got such a specific look. Like she looks like she could be from that era. Which is, I think it's so cool. So, and I love it. The whole dancing, that scene where I'll read this little true fact because that dance sequence was so cool. But apparently during the dance sequence, Sandy, Ellie, and Jack, there were only 2 moments that were not practical. So everything else was choreographed and like choreographed. Like they would basically because whenever she would go out of camera, they would switch people. Like it was, I thought that was super cool. I like when they do that. And that was what got me James Wan vibes because he would do something like that.
That's cool.
So I just appreciate filmmaking styles like that because it's different.
I love anything. I mean, it makes me have you seen the Spike Jonze did a few times because he did an Apple commercial that was like this, but he did a few others of these like one take choreographed like music videos. That's all one take, and he's the one behind the camera, and it's so cool. But he did it once on like one of the late nights, and so you can like also see the angle like of watching him film it, and then you can also see the angle of like him shooting it, and it's so crazy, but it's so cool.
I love that, dude. That's so cool. He's like John's one of those people where I love one take. That's a whole.
Well, I just mean, like one takes with choreographed stuff is like.
Oh my god, it's amazing, and like we should do a whole episode on one takes, honestly, because I could talk about one takes all day, but like Spike Jonze, I feel like is someone that I feel like I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but I feel like I would really like. Like I need like I've seen Her obviously, and what else did he do? Like what's
Being John Malkovich?
I've never seen that one.
I think that was maybe one of his first big ones. Where the Wild Things Are.
I saw like parts of it.
I mean all the Jackass stuff. Talking about Jackass coming.
Oh, he did Jackass?
Yeah, he like came up I think his really come up was with like Brother Magazine and like with the Jackass guys before Jackass was even a thing. And then I think he did a lot of the Jackass like TV show movies.
Interesting.
And so I think that was like a big kind of background. And then I think was he married to Sofia Coppola for a short time?
And again, Coppolas are always just involved in the film industry.
Yeah. Spike Jonze, Sofia Coppola for 4 years. Her, Being John Malkovich, Where the Wild Things Are, adaptation.
Oh, I heard adaptation.
Jackass the movie, Jackass Forever, the new one, Bad Grandpa 5, Jackass number 2, The Beastie Boys story, Jackass 3, Bad Grandpa. Yeah.
That's funny.
All the Jackass stuff.
Yeah, it's funny to like see what people have done. Like I was like, watching this, I was like, it felt like a music video to me. So I was like, I wonder if Edgar Wright's ever done music videos, and he actually has done them in the past. So I was like, this makes a lot of sense. Like he comes off to me as like a musical guy. He loves music and stuff. Like he makes just movies, music video movies essentially, which I love. Like I feel like there's a song like in his movies, he always has like a song playing. Like there's never like a dull. I mean, there might be a scene of like just dialogue, but there's always like a track or something going on, and I love it.
Somebody should have him do a how like Kanye's done or like Beyonce sometimes will come out with like the movie of the album. So it's like a straight playing of the album, but it's like a movie kind of. Some band should have Edgar Wright do that. And
Dude,
like,
that would
do
be
an
so
entire
cool.
movie album.
That would be awesome. Actually, like a movie, like are you talking about like a movie with like basically the whole album is a movie? Like
yeah, have you seen what I'm talking about? Like Beyonce's thing?
yeah,
Or,
like basically like a video album. Right.
yeah.
I always
yeah.
enjoyed those a lot. I
Yeah.
feel like I want more of that.
He would be such a good. That would be awesome. I would love him to see him like take on like I mean, they're not around. They don't do music anymore, unfortunately. But like Daft Punk, if they had a new album, like that would be so cool. Like I would love to see him do something with like,
That could be their comeback.
dude, Edgar Wright and Daft Punk. Is that the best team that no one ever realized before?
It might be.
I don't know. That'd be pretty cool. Some other trivia facts. I'll read them off. The title of the movie comes from a 1968 song by pop band Dave D. Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch.
Love it.
The
That's a
song
great
is-
name.
I know, right? The song is Last Night in Soho, so I'll have to go listen to that. It's actually played in the end credits. And speaking of music,
Mhm.
Anya Taylor-Joy did a great job singing. I never heard her sing before.
Yeah, I agree.
I always love that when you watch a movie and you see someone, you're like, oh, they can sing. Wow, look at that. Like Josh Peck in Low King Silver Lake.
Crushing it.
Yeah. So that was
Which
kinda
fun fact we learned? He didn't even sing.
Oh yeah,
at the
Joe. I
table
asked
read.
Eric specifically about the that scene because I was like, we talked about this in the podcast. Like, was that your idea or was that Josh's idea?
And I was like, there's no way it was Josh's idea.
It was not.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of it.
Yeah,
Yep.
he said that Josh didn't even, he asked before they did the table read, he was like, hey, is it cool if I don't sing it like at the table read? Like it just feels weird. And he was like, yeah, I get that. It's kind of like strange to like sing at a table read. And so Eric hadn't even heard him sing until they shot the scene. So he just was like, fingers crossed.
I mean, it
I
worked
hope
out
Josh
well.
can sing.
Worked out well.
I love that so much. That's so good.
How great would it be if you like casted it and then you went to shoot it and they were just so bad that you couldn't even like fix it and you're just like, oh no.
Wait,
oh,
that
no.
happened kind of, what was it recently? I was watching something. There was something I was watching where they're singing and it was White Christmas. I mean, so
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think this is planned, but the really skinny dancer girl, she's a dancer, obviously, but they dubbed her voice because she couldn't sing. So like all of her singing was not actually her. I think that's really funny when they do that. I mean, if you don't know her like at all, like it sounds like when I first watch it, you can't even tell. Like they did a good job of covering it up, but it's funny when you kind of know that. But I also read that Jocasta, who's the mean girl, apparently Edgar Wright, if he was born a girl, his parents would have named him Jocasta. So that's why he named the mean girl Jocasta. I was like, that's such a weird fact.
Jocasta, right? It's like dope.
That's
name.
actually kind of a great name. It's better than Edgar Wright. Sorry, Edgar, if you ever listen to this, I like Jocasta.
You should change your name.
Change your
Or
name to Jocasta.
Does he have kids? Name
don't
him
know.
Jocasta.
Yeah, actually.
That could, but I mean, okay, you could for sure also be a guy named Jocasta, and you could go by
Yeah.
Jack, or if you wanted.
Like the movie.
Saying it's a cool name, yeah.
Wait, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah. I actually love that name.
My name's Jack. Oh, it's like, what's it short for? Jocasta.
I wanted to be at that Halloween party so bad. That looked so fun.
I was going to ask you if you considered this a Halloween movie now,
No, I don't. I think I do consider
but
horror.
it has a Halloween party in it.
It's true. That is a good point. I consider this horror, but I don't consider it Halloween. Actually, it would be a good October movie though, like a spooky season movie. I think this would be a solid. I might add this to my spooky season rotation because I mean, I don't know. Parts of it felt a little flat to me. Like I think some of the, the climax part of the movie was, I don't know, it was like I liked where it went with the twist. I didn't see it coming like you did, Joe, but I don't know, it didn't bother me, like, but it just, I don't know, I just didn't have enough. I needed something more. It just felt a little flat to me. Some of it felt flat, like some of the character development felt a little flat to me, but
the piece that I missed, like I knew the lady was somehow, it's always the old lady.
It's always the old lady.
That's what this is like the whole sum up of the podcast. It's always the old lady.
It's always the old lady. But the one thing I wasn't sure of, which kept it, like I knew she was involved somehow, but like I thought she might have been dead. Like I thought she was the one who was stabbed for, basically until she was like, oh no, I stabbed them. But then I was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think for me, it's like, I was a little confused at first when she first had her first vision, dream, whatever you call it. Cause like, I was confused. And if the main girl, I don't even know her name. Oh, Eloise. I was confused if she was supposed to be Sandy or if she was watching Sandy. Cause some of the times they were mirrored, but sometimes they weren't. So I was like, is she supposed to be this girl or is she not? I was confused by that. And then I was also confused because after the first dream vision, whatever, like the very next night, when the guy asks her to do something like hang out, she's like, no, I have plans tonight. Like, it's weird that she anticipated that it was going to happen again. Like, she's like, oh, I'm going to listen to this record. I'm going to go into this vision. Like, I don't know. It's weird that she just expected that to happen again. Like, to me, I would be like, oh, it's just like a dream, a one-time dream, like whatever. But she was like, oh, it's going to happen again. I don't know.
I think because like she had seen presumably her mom in the mirror, like even back in the place. So maybe this is like more of a thing for her. Is kind of the way I.
That's true. Actually, I didn't make that connection, so that makes sense.
That's what I was going in and out the whole time. The kind of like, what is this? Because at the beginning, it started like I was like, oh, she's like a superpower. Like she has a superpower. That's why she lives out here and she can't be around normal people because she has some superpower, and that's why her grandma or whoever is like, be careful with people. So I'm like thinking like, oh, it's like this is gonna be a movie where she has a power, and then you're like watching, and then you're like, oh well, maybe she's just kind of tripping, right. And then like, or are these visions? And then at some point you're like, wait, or are these ghosts? Like there's a long time in and out of me being like, what is this?
Which I think is the point, honestly. I think it's supposed to make you feel that way because it's such a crazy movie.
Keeps you in it.
But I think like I agree with that, and I feel the same way, which I liked about it, and I think that was the intention, maybe. But I think how it wrapped up was a little like ambiguous to me. I think it was just like, I loved it. I loved how it started. I loved the middle. I just think they could have wrapped it a little better, like a little more. I kind of ended like, what? Like, yeah, like you said, like, wait,
still
what?
Stayed like that. Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean, it was great. I do think like, I get that she was like a serial killer, but weren't the guys like dicks? Like,
it's like a Dexter situation.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like they were both wrong.
Right. I was also confused on why she tried to kill Eloise.
Probably just cover it up, I guess, right?
But why would she even come out with like saying anything? Because like at this point, Eloise had visions, right? But she had no proof.
She thought she was going to die from drinking the tea, and she thought she was alone. So I think she didn't know John was there, and she didn't think she was ever going to leave.
Gotcha.
Which is like, rules for being a villain 101 is just don't like out yourself, right? But
right. You
didn't learn.
So class.
I had a feeling that like Eloise was, or what was the landlord? The Sandy, right?
Sandy.
Yeah. I had I don't know. At one point I thought that she was the older version of Eloise.
Oh.
I was like, ooh, this could be like some kind of time travel thing.
Oh, I thought, yeah, I thought the same thing, but older version of Sandy.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, but I was like, did she come back from the dead? Like, how did this work? But then I was like, oh, she just never died.
I thought maybe Eloise was like, she was Sandy in like a past life, and now she's back, but that she's also like, that's her older self. I don't know. I was going some weird directions.
Yeah.
But cool.
Overall, really liked this movie.
It was fun.
You picked it.
I actually loved the ghost aspect. Like that was kind of fun. Yeah. And like the horror of it, when the horror scenes were actually done pretty well, which I liked and appreciated. So yeah, that was good. It was a fun one. I'm glad we watched it. I've been meaning to watch this, and I kind of like the whole like designer aspect. I don't know. It was kind of fun. Like the ending. I actually did like the end where she was a designer, but again, you see Sandy in the mirror, And I'm like, I don't want a sequel. Don't give me that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
there's no I don't know. To me, there's no point of having that. Like I liked seeing her mom. That was great. Just end with that. End on a happy note. Because this poor girl's gone through so much shit.
I feel
Life
like you
ain't
either
always
have
happy,
to.
Joe.
It's true.
I feel like you either have to like be super ambiguous and like leave things
Mhm.
open through the movie, and then like be kind of specific with your ending, like piecing at least somewhat together, or like you're kind of like super detailed through the movie, and then you kind of have that open ending. But when it's all just kind of like open, you just end, and it's so unsatisfying.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, for sure.
Should we rate?
Also, yeah.
Oh.
Wait, I just want to say one more thing. When there's the scene where she's the first time she sees the stabbing going on, or no, sorry, this is like when they wrap it up when she talks about it. When Anya Taylor-Joy is like stabbing the guy, Jack, she's grabbing the knife by the blade, and I'm like, what? She's holding the blade and stabbing him. I'm like, that would hurt so bad.
Yeah.
God, which makes sense though, because she did show the scars on her hand.
Mhm.
So I mean, that was kind of interesting. I was just like, damn, that would hurt so bad. But yeah, let's rate it. I'll go first since I picked it. You know what? I'm gonna bump it up. After talking to you guys, this always happens to me.
Yeah, it always goes up.
I'm at an 8. I'm gonna go with an 8. 8 dance moves because I love dancing in this movie. And yeah, I thought it was great. I think I mean, it was a little too ambiguous for me, I think. I wish there was a little more wrap up, like I was saying. I love the acting. Questionable main girl, for me at least. Yeah, I don't know. It was great. I could watch any Edgar. I need to get more. Like, I've seen Edgar Wright movies, but I haven't. I want to like sit down and watch them all, I feel like. Because I've come to realize like I really like him as a director. And like I've always liked his movie. Like I liked Baby Driver, but I just don't like Ansel Elgort at all. I was like, I think not liking the main actor kind of ruins a movie, in my opinion, for
It's
like for
hard.
me. It's hard. And like I didn't like I actually liked the girl. Like I like her as an actress. I think maybe it's how she was written. I don't know. Something with her just didn't vibe with me, but it didn't ruin it for me. So I think that was okay. I don't know. This was great. And I think yeah, I would recommend this to people if they like kind of like horror, thriller. If you like thriller, like crime, like movies, that you should watch this one. Like if you kind of like old school movies too, like this gave me like, it did give me 60s like crime movie vibes a little bit, which I thought was kind of fun. So a little more like it's like a modern take on a 60s crime movie, which I think exactly what it is. So yeah.
Cool.
I'll go just because I'll let Joe wrap it up with the Edgar Wright fan. I'll go 7.5. It was again like super well done. There's just like a few things. I mean, it's like all redundant at this point. There's like a few things I feel like with the ending and just some things where I'm like, I just wish it was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I'd say like if you like thrillers and you're okay with gore, even if you're not like into gore, but you're just like, yeah, it's fine. I don't mind if it's in movies, but you like thrillers, like definitely check this out. Super good. Really well done. Just like super fun, different.
Yeah, I think
doesn't feel like
different's a good way.
It doesn't feel like a lot. It's not like you're watching this and you're like, oh, I've seen this in 4 different forms, you know.
Right. It was refreshing, like a refreshing movie for me at least, because it was just different.
Yeah, it was different enough to be interesting.
Yeah.
Even like that's why like I didn't even love it, but I still liked it a lot because it was just like really well done and different. So it's like, so I'll go 7.5. Cups of tea.
Nice. Not coffee, because you spilled coffee on your desk this morning.
No, I spilled tea.
Oh, you spilled tea. Right.
I'm British. I'm
British,
super
right.
British.
Well,
I'm not British at all, I don't think, but like maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little
Yeah,
we'll come back with the genealogy report next week.
For my rating this time, I'm actually gonna go pretty high because I actually really like this. So I'm going like 8.8.
Oh, that was close to 9.
That's true.
But I'm going 8.8. I forget his name, but the police guy who got hit by a car. What's his name?
His actor's name is Terrence Stamp. What? I don't know this actor. or this
I
actor.
just like the name, the police guy that got hit.
Police guy that get hit by a car.
Okay.
Lindsay,
Because I
Was it
feel like
Lindsay or something. It was something like that.
I just feel like he was like kind of like supposed to be the villain, or like who they wanted you to think the villain was, but then he just got hit by a car and then he like was never heard from again in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, his character was weird.
It is Lindsay.
Yeah,
Lindsay. I was right. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Lindsay,
it was
yeah.
Lindsay.
But she thought he was Jack, but it was Lindsay. Yeah.
I forgot about him. See, I think he was another character that was just like, I don't know. It was a little like, I wish it was more character driven. Like the main girl, I wish we just spent, I mean, we did spend the whole movie with her, obviously, but I want more of just like her and her visions and like more of that like 60s kind of collaboration. I don't know. There was just too much going on. I think they should have made it a little more simpler.
Yeah. I mean, we all know I love character driven. Usually it's comedies, but it's got to be character driven.
Totally. I think adding these supporting characters, I think, can hurt the movie. I mean, for example, Halloween Kills. It's a movie of supporting characters. Like it doesn't work. You know, you have to focus on something. Like I think we could have gone through this movie without really seeing her in school. I mean, maybe a scene or two, but we didn't need that at all. Like the designer aspect, I didn't think that was really necessary.
No, which is why it's like a weird, I don't know, not a weird thing to wrap up on, but it makes you think that it would have been more.
Right, exactly. And I think also like it was like an hour, it was right under 2 hours. I think it didn't feel long to me at all. But I also think if you cut all the school stuff, you could have made it simpler and a little shorter. And I think it could have worked just as well.
You got Jocasta the hell out of there.
Edgar, you should have got rid of Jocasta and then rename yourself Jocasta.
That was the play.
Get rid of her in one way and add her in another way. Or him. I mean, I don't know. It could be a girl guy name too. So I could talk about locations quick. So we've got don't hate me if I'm pronouncing these wrong because there's
please
only
pronounce
one
them correctly. Just please.
Fitzrovia, London. Fitzrovia. I don't know if that's right. Fitzrovia. But it's all London. It's all shot in London. Haymarket. I can pronounce that one. I can pronounce Paddington Station and Brick Lane. Let's see. And the entrance used for the Café de Paris is actually the Empire Cinema in Haymarket, which is a few hundred yards away from the real cafe near Leicester.
Lancaster.
Laicester. Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. They should spell that differently.
It's like, it's why like Worcestershire sauce is like orchard, you know, and like Shire's is sure. Like there's all these weird.
Sure and Shire makes sense though, because like sure is still spelled sure. Like I get it, kind of, but also Lord of the Rings kind of messed it up because the Shire. So there's a whole
Sure.
And then this was interesting because it's obviously Soho too. They shot it in Soho, but apparently it's super busy in Soho and it's really hard to film there. So apparently Edgar Wright decided early on that if he really wanted to capture the Soho ambiance, he would have to film on location there instead of creating a soundstage. An enormous amount of logistical planning was needed to work around the bustling area. So many of the local businesses were open 24/7. So Wright described the London location as like a Herculean endeavor, requiring the close cooperation of his location manager with the city of Westminster. But like cars, clothing, signs had to be organized to like basically work around the busy area, like people working and stuff. Like they couldn't shut it down. They just couldn't do it because it's so busy. So they had to work around everyone, and like all the business were open 24/7. It's like that must have been a pain in the ass to shoot because like you had to make it look like the 60s too, like setting all that shit up. Like, oh my god, I don't know. I think it's fascinating. I love it. I think it's a cool location. I don't see a lot of things shot there that I'm familiar with. So
I want to go to London.
I do too. Really, really bad. Cool. Do you guys want to talk some news?
Yeah.
A Goosebumps live action show just got announced, Disney Plus, which I'm very curious. It's the director who did the first movie in 2015. which I actually liked the movie. Again, the CGI ruined it for me, but I'm very curious to see what they do with the live action show. I'm nervous,
What is
but I'm
this a
excited.
new version of?
Goosebumps.
Oh, Goosebumps.
They're doing a Disney Plus show, a live action show. I'm excited, but also
Are
really
they just
nervous.
recreating every single episode? But new.
That would actually be hilarious. Like the exact same, like each
That was the
episode.
piano one that we
proof.
watched. Yeah, just a new, like, very Disney version of it.
Oh, that would actually be awful.
Praying for it.
I don't know. I'm excited but nervous, like I was saying. And they just greenlit Scream 6 because the other one did really well. I think they have a trilogy planned. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Real quick. This was a while ago now. The guy in Scream,
Which one? Oh, that guy.
he's like also a wrestler kind of guy.
Wrestler.
David
Arquette?
Arquette.
He's a wrestler?
Yeah, he's like an amateur wrestler.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I love him.
Again, another clip I'll send you. He's the funniest, weirdest person.
He's very
Who,
strange.
one, I can't imagine he's a wrestler. And two, he laughs, like the way he laughs and he's so giggly and stuff, that the whole time I was like, how is he an actor? Like, how does he not just play? Like, does he just only play crazy characters? And then they're like, let's cut to a clip. And he's like, they're just amazing and like a normal. And I was like, how does this guy transform
I
from
love
this like
that,
goofy
dude.
guy into like these characters?
Have you
It's
seen
crazy,
Scream?
but I mean, not the new one, and I haven't seen old ones since.
Good to know.
I wouldn't have like paid
Good.
attention.
Good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
might be in the queue. But he's like one of my favorite parts about those movies because like it's a comedy horror. Like the movies, I should say horror comedy. It Screams are like a comedy movie essentially as well as horror, and he's like one of the comedic aspects to it without actually being funny. Like you laugh at him because of how they write his character. Like he's Deputy Dewey, but like it's funny because he gets like stabbed at one point, and he through the rest of the movies he has kind of like a limp because he was stabbed in the back. So like it's just funny, like when his hands kind of like folded up like this, and he's just like limping, and it's just funny. And they play like this like heroic cowboy music when he's around. It's just so funny. Like it's one of my favorite parts about the whole franchise is his character.
I'm into it.
I don't know how we got. Oh, because I said Scream.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
He said Screaming. I just had been meaning to like ever since I saw him. I was like, oh, I need to mention this.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It makes sense. And I always forget he was in Friends. He was in an episode of Friends too. He plays he stalks Phoebe's sister. He's like a stalker, which is hilarious. In a funny way. Like it's Friends, so there's nothing weird about it.
It's not a dark
No.
Friends dark episode.
Friends in Soho. But yeah, there's not much else for me that I've kind of, I mean,
I feel like I've mentioned this before, but I'm still very excited for Death on the Nile.
is that out yet?
Not yet, I don't think.
Will that be streamable or is it just theaters?
You're
I
asking
feel like
wrong
it's just,
ones.
I
I'm
want to
not
say it's
sure.
just
I
theaters.
think it comes out next, or maybe it's this month.
I was like, that'd be a fun one to pick.
Its release date is February 11th.
That is like that screams Joe Cuffney. That movie.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
like
it's
those movies,
exactly
I just
right.
want. I'm just like Joe. This is Joe in a bottle. Like,
Yep.
murder. I love it. Murder mysteries are so fun, dude. I
I
really
am
want to
very
pick.
excited.
I want to pick Ready or Not at some point because I think you both would actually really dig it.
Yeah, probably.
It's a little brutal, but it's funny too. So it's not like it's fun. It's like funny. I think you would appreciate the funny parts of it.
Okay, as long as there's enough funny.
Adam Brody's in it. It's good.
I've been mentioning every time Search Party.
Search Party. Yeah, I know.
Have to watch it, but I finally am in the new fifth season, and it is wild. It is insane.
Like how?
This
Why?
is-
Like why?
because
is it
like it's so like it just seems very much that they were like, okay, we got one final season, let's just throw shit at the wall. Like the craziest
good
thing
way?
is- I mean, in a good, like, I'm so glad this is the last season. And
Okay.
they're not like, I mean, it's insane. There's like kind of a cult leader aspect for you. There's Jeff Goldblum's in it, and he plays like a tech billionaire. it's
We
just
could
gotten
review
like,
it if you pick it an episode or two.
I'm gonna pick all 5 seasons when I'm done. But it's like it's the show's really good, but it's like the first 3 seasons I'd say are like the best,
Mhm.
and like I are like my favorite. The 4th could be your favorite because it gets dark and weird. The 4th is definitely like dark and weird, and then the 5th is just like batshit all over the place, cults, craziness. You have no clue what's going on. So
Amazing.
I think you'll enjoy it. But
Yeah, I'm down.
um,
That sounds great.
and then so again, watch it. And then the other thing, not that I've watched it yet, but Dexter, another one I tell you need to watch. The new season came out, and it's like it's been like 10 years or something since the last
Yeah.
season, and it's like 10 years have passed. But Dana just told me that was shot in Broomsfield, Massachusetts,
Broomsfield.
somewhere like near Northampton,
Oh, cool.
out there in this like little town. And
You should hit the
it's got-
location.
yeah, no, but she's saying that was shot there, and then she just told me like a couple hours ago, and I'm already blanking. Oh, and then the judge, she told me, which is like a
Okay.
Robert De Niro
Ooh.
movie, and it was shot in this town. So it's one of those things where like this really tiny town in Western Mass now is like all about like we were where the judge was shot.
That's hilarious.
And they have a bridge of flowers that looks insane, but could be like a whole thing. It's this like pedestrian bridge, but it's just like
Right.
this like majestic like flowers blooming everywhere.
Interesting.
And
And it's in the movie, The Judge.
I think it might be like
Okay.
because it's such a big thing in the movie, but also just mention like probably could shoot a movie out there with
Very cool.
some like Midsummer-esque with the bridge is what I'm
Yes.
imagining.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. I am
Like-
about that.
Let's get Ari Aster on board, do some crazy, flowery bridge, and then we can build the plot around what this bridge symbolizes.
Oof,
And
that would be
occults and
great.
some murders and like all the good stuff.
Oh
Just
my
another,
gosh.
like weird Massachusetts town for you to visit.
About it. I'm about it. Could be cults. Could be run by cults. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's like a Hot Fuzz. It could be a Hot Fuzz town.
Those towns are the best.
I also still
was
love.
great.
I didn't even. I've seen Hot Fuzz like 3 times, I think, and like so the first time we watched it, I was I don't really remember it because it was back in like when it first came out, and then when we reviewed it for the podcast, I watched it, and it's just so funny that some of our favorite movies have cult aspects, even though they're completely different.
Yeah, it's
Types of
true.
movies.
I
Like
I
Wicker
didn't even
Man.
think
and,
about
like,
it as a cult movie until we watched it on.
it's
this
literally a
podcast.
cult movie. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it literally could be in the subgenre of cult movies. Like it's crazy, and I just think that's hilarious how that just kind of came together. I was like,
And my favorite movie, Locating Silver Lake, also has a cult aspect.
Bowfinger, dude. Bowfinger has a
I
cult
mean,
aspect.
Bowfinger does. Yeah,
Holy
it
shit,
does.
this is
It
insane.
does.
All right, should we do call watch now or?
Yeah, I think we're all on cult watch permanently.
We can end it. We've joined.
That's so funny. But speaking of cults, I there's this website called Studio House Designs, and I've
Speaking of
purchased
cults.
a couple cool Midsummer shirts / Donnie Darko shirts from there, and I just got a Wicker Man. They just did a little batch of Wicker Man shirts, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Do you know,
shout out.
like, are they in partnerships with movies? Like, can we just make cool merch based on? our
Honestly, I
favorite
think you
movies? Like,
can. Like, I don't know how that works because I follow like a lot of horror apparel websites, and they all have like horror, like Halloween or whatever. I think you can just do whatever. I don't know what the rights are though, looking like for that, but I assume it's easy because a lot of people do it.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, we'll have our lawyer on next week with
All
us.
right,
And we'll
yeah.
maybe
Cody
launch this.
Reichenstein.
Yeah.
Can he please just show up with like a suit and tie with like but have like
It's a
the
very oversized suit in the briefcase.
but have the background? Yeah, I can blur the background on Zoom. Like I just have the black.
It's just like in a car, but it's all played out.
The audio is like really bad. It's like
You
um,
gotta have the like muffled voice, like on
yeah.
all those
Um,
Christmas shows.
Going back to your search party thing, did they always have 5 seasons in mind, or was that kind of like a per season?
I don't think so, because it also is one of those shows that was like possibly either the first 2 or 3 seasons, I believe, was like it was on TBS.
Okay.
And then I don't know if TBS canceled it or what happened, but then HBO picked it up. So
Gotcha.
like the last 2 or 3 seasons are HBO. It's
Okay.
all on HBO now, but it's one of those shows that was like on a not premium network and then got picked up.
Gotcha.
And like, so I don't know if it also like blew up once HBO took it over or something, but
Okay.
I don't think. Also, when you get to the 5th season, like there's no way they had this in mind at the beginning.
Gotcha. Okay.
I feel like it's like, I will say though, like it's a very well done in the sense of everything's so well intertwined, the plot lines through the 5 seasons,
Mhm.
but they do such a good job of like overlaying them so slowly. So it's never like, oh, this season ends and the next season's like you're jumped into a new plot line. Like
Gotcha.
it's you know, like you realize that the second plot line has been planted like halfway through the first, but you like it's not super obvious, but it's like one of those where it's like very well done throughout, because you know it's called Search Party because like the premise is they're searching for like someone they went to college with, they weren't really friends, they find like a missing poster.
Mm.
And so like this whole craziness starts when they decide to start searching for this girl.
That's a cool idea.
And like, you know, obviously it's like they're not still searching for the girl in season 5,
Right.
but they do. So they do like a really good job. Just like
Gotcha.
it's still one continuous story.
Okay. I was just curious because like I feel like there are some shows where they, you know, they have each season planned out, like, and I like that. Like Bates Motel, it's like, you know, they knew they were gonna have 5 seasons and only 5 seasons. Like they knew exactly how they were gonna end it and they were gonna start it. And I think it worked out for that show. Like I think it, and that show got better in my opinion. Like the 4th and 5th seasons are so good in that show. Like the first 2 are okay, but they just kind of drag a little bit. But I think they were all building up for those last 2 seasons. And I think like when shows do plan that out, it's interesting to see. Like I think I don't know if they're better, but it just feels more complete. I feel like when they have that all planned out, because sometimes when there are shows and they just kind of, oh, you know, let's do another season, we can make more money, whatever. It just, I don't know, loses it for me a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder, because this show, it definitely like the endings to me have that feeling of like, I think they very clearly knew what the next season would be, like before the end of the season, but they always wrapped the seasons up what felt like to me like, if we get canceled, this will be good enough to have a wrap. But if we get another season, it'll be good enough of a cliffhanger.
That's a good way to go about it too. Like,
so it felt like that, like balance.
Okay. I feel like unless you're a sitcom, it's harder to do that, because like sitcoms, you can just do it over and over again. It's the same shit. But with like dramas and stuff that actually have a storyline, like I'm curious if like Ozark, if they have like a planned ending or not, like, because it's like that show could go anywhere, and I don't know, who knows.
Is this last season? Not the last season.
I haven't even seen it. I don't know. Not...
Yeah, I've watched like the first season.
Yeah, I've seen the first like 2 seasons, I think, but who knows. I mentioned to you guys earlier, but I'll say it on the pod to give a shout out. But I'm going to a Hereditary screening in September in Salt Lake City, from Myers House, North Carolina, on Instagram. His name's Kenny. He has these events called On-Set Cinema, where he goes to locations and screens the movie where they were shot. So we will be going to in Hereditary, where Annie is at the therapy session with it's like a group, and they talk about like, you know, people who passed away, essentially. So it'll be in the rec center, and then we'll be doing a bunch of locations. So that's in September. And then he just released another Shining one in October. And he also there's also the Goonies. They're doing Goonies and Astoria at some point. There's a lot. I always post about them. So.
Oh, cool.
If you're interested. Yeah. If you're ever interested, do it up.
That's such a cool idea.
I'm really glad I actually wanted to do that for the longest time. I was like, my idea.
I remember when we talked about it too in like early Portland, when I forget what movie did you want to screen in a graveyard? It wasn't specifically a graveyard, but
it was Night of the Living Dead. Yeah.
And, you know, and you were like talking to graveyard people, and they were like, I don't know if people want us like sitting on top of people's graves. And you were like, this is dumb. You were like, just let me watch a movie. Like, and they were like, I'm like, we can maybe try to figure it out. But...
Okay, for that, I literally there was like a little middle section in the cemetery where it was like, you know, cars could drive on and stuff. It was like a circular section. I literally sent them an email with the map, and I drew arrows. I was like, hey, we can set up chairs here. Screen goes here, projector here, like generator here for the plugs, all this other shit. and they just didn't buy it.
So if you're a cemetery and you're listening to this, you want to reach out.
Hit
to
me
Jeff.
up, hit us up.
Hit us up.
So weird.
But I also love that his events are called on-set cinema because it kind of goes in hand with us kind of way. So it kind of works.
So I thought you meant at first when you said it.
Yeah, it would have been perfect. But I'm glad he does it, and he's a cool dude. So
I'm glad he does it, but he will be hearing from our lawyers. So
he has an exclamation point. So
oof.
but sweet. Let's wrap up this Soho. This was episode 52. We were crushing
That's a
it.
killer British accent.
Was it? Last night in Soho.